evening, everyone. Welcome to the Touch Tennis Show. Rashid Ahmed alongside me.
Hi guys, Chris Eaton here.
How you doing?
Very well, very well. Good to
week.
be back in the seat that I feel like I belong in. So,
you were playing golf in America.
yeah, brilliant.
You shouldn't really be forgiven that sort of behaviour, should you?
Well, you say that, but it's like 2 degrees outside here, and it's kind of 20-25 there, sunshine, and it's a no-brainer for me.
About a quad buggy, a little buggy thing I saw you were thinking about buying.
Yeah. You got to look at different ways to thrill/kill yourself. So.
Yeah, because you weren't getting very far in the car that you rented, were you?
No. Yeah. Make sure next time any of you go to America, the big "we tow" sign, they kind of do. So just bear that in mind.
I don't feel sorry for you.
You probably shouldn't.
Nah.
My fault.
5-1, I just got thrashed at pool, so I'm not feeling too good about myself. But tennis-wise, where were we at this week? What do you reckon?
It's been a really interesting week actually. It's sort of this is obviously the Paris Masters Series week. It's the Women's Fed Cup weekend, should I say? And the first time that the Paris Masters has been the week before the O2, and we realised, we kind of thought that there'd be a few surprise results, and kind of the real top players maybe preparing a little bit, thinking about the O2 instead of really focusing on Paris, which is strange as Paris is the Masters Series and such a big tournament. So it's interesting to see sort of how the dynamic of that has worked.
Do you think the court difference, there's such a massive difference between, let's say, is there a massive difference between Paris and London?
There won't be. There will be. It will be. They'll both be fairly slow, and there will both be brand new courts laid down. And the fact that it'll be brand new courts, sort of slightly wooden based. That's why you can hear if you're watching on TV, the slightly hollow sound when the ball hits the ground.
Yeah.
Because both venues are not tennis centres. They're large exhibition or centres like that. So they actually have to put the court down. And that's why you've also seen some interesting bounces in Paris.
That's been going on for years. They've had lots of some strange bounces there for quite some time. I mean, the O2 got some stick about that early on. They seem to have sorted their issues out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's having played quite a few tour events in France. I know how it's run. They do just quite last minute, because the French are a little bit last minute. They do just throw a surface down.
Yeah.
And because it's segments put together, because obviously you can't just travel with one large tennis court and move it in. It's segments put together. There are places where the segments meet each other, where it's not quite it's flat and they meet each other completely parallel.
Yeah.
But
when the ball hits that joint,
a slightly softer bit. It's slightly softer because of the outside, and obviously these guys are so good. They're just used to having the balls coming on true, and as they swing so fast, they just don't have enough time to adapt to a ball bouncing. Yeah. Strangely, you don't expect it on an indoor surface.
Seems to work well for Lodra. He's had another fantastic year at Paris, hasn't he?
It's funny how you do get some players who just tend to light up certain tournaments. Don't you? Lodra absolutely loves it in Paris. Maybe he's smarter than most with their schedule, so probably he's a little bit fresher at the end of the year, because the biggest thing at the end of the year is tiredness. A lot of players are not necessarily physically tired, but mentally tired. They've been going at it week after week for 10 months, I guess. Yeah. And I get Lodra probably schedules it a little bit better. He doesn't actually do as well nowadays in singles, so he's played less matches, so he's probably a little bit fresher than the other guys, but he can still come up with some serious tennis.
Yeah. On the other side of the scale, you've got is it a Futures event in Loughborough this week, or are we talking Challenger?
I think it's Challenger.
Yeah. Early on this year, we had a chap called Janovic getting hosed by the British number 19 at a Futures event.
I saw Jerzy Janovic at the beginning of the year. I think he was playing in Sheffield, which was pretty much the first or second future we had in Great Britain this year, and he certainly wasn't lighting it up, that's for sure. And it's amazing how fast this can happen, because I said exactly the same thing last year. I was probably sitting down, at this time last year, and I played against Raonic in doubles in Glasgow, which was the first Future of the Year in 2011.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's qualifying for
top 20 in the world,
Aussie Open, and then he went on a massive run from there. So it's funny how these guys get on a roll and just fly basically, and it seems to be the guys with the big game who do that.
Yeah.
Janowicz is 7 bombs and hitting the ball huge. Rejonic, same thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it's advantageous for the bigger guys with the bigger games to really, I guess if they get hot, they're difficult for anybody to handle.
You think I should maybe try my hand at being a pro?
Well, I think you probably need to just go a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go bigger on anything. I didn't think I'd ever say that to you about the way you play, but.
So earlier on this week on Friday, Chris and I went to SET, which is Southeastern Tennis in Kent. I mean, I don't know what's what. I'm sorry to the viewers and anyone who's having to look at me. These clothes are brand new. I've just gone and bought them because I've had to set fire to all my old clothes, as Chris has. And Chris has got himself a new top to get rid of any thoughts of Kent. I think everyone should have a look at that.
This is actually, trying to take thoughts back to golf in America. How I think Ian Poulter, what a lad.
Yeah.
What a lad, and just reminding everybody that it was 14.5, 13.5 to Europe.
Yeah.
Best t-shirt ever, by the way.
Yeah, crushing. But anyway, so we're in Maidstone, and we're playing against some kids, some adults, and just spreading the word of touch tennis, and they were trying to get it launched out there in Kent. That surface, indoor, fast, was bullet quick. I've never played touch tennis on anything so quick in my life. I mean, for a sponge ball to shoot through this low is saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to get used to it, because that is what most sports halls are made of these days, and that's sort of the same thing with the badminton courts, which is where it's very easy for the touch tennis court to sort of slide in because it's similar dimensions.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to get used to it. I mean, that was a strange surface, and very slippery as well.
Yeah. I ended up on the deck twice in one rally,
exactly.
And I've still got bruises to show from my wrist.
Yeah, but we're not going to last night. No, but yeah, it was a great day actually. It was a great day. It was really, really good to see the kids, really enjoying themselves, getting stuck in, and to be honest.
What do you think of that kid Raf? His volleys.
Oh,
was he 9 or was he 8? He was like,
yeah, he was
unbelievable volleys.
Yeah.
What about that guy Yayo, who was dreadful, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
worst
terrible.
player I've ever
Turned
met.
up late and just he was awful.
Typical Spanish attitude.
Yeah.
Talking of Spanish attitudes, not only have you, as you mentioned, you got the Czech winning the Fed Cup, possible double.
Yeah, I think as the Czechs are home in the men's Davis Cup, I think you've probably got to put them as favourites. With no Nadal.
O2 Arena, they call it.
Yeah, the O2 Arena in is it Prague?
Yeah, I believe so. Sold out.
Yeah, no, that'll be a mental atmosphere. I mean,
yeah.
And it's funny how it goes like that, because about 5 years ago was the sort of the emergence of Serbia as a tennis nation. They kind of all came up together, didn't they? Jankovic and Ivanovic on the women's side, and
Jankovic got crushed today.
Yeah, she was not really struggling to score as much, unfortunately. No. But you've got Djokovic and Tipsarevic on the men's side, and I think it just so happens like that you just need 1 or 2 people to keep pushing each other.
Yeah. And
it's amazing how they're all very, very similar level, because you got Djokovic at 1 and Tipsarevic is at 9 in the world now.
Yeah.
I think. Very similar level, and you got Jankovic and Ivanovic. They were both top 10 at the same time, and now they've both dropped down a little bit. So it's interesting how that works, and now it could well be the Czech time.
Yeah.
But it's strange how this sort of domination seems to be coming from Eastern Europe.
Cold, got nothing else to do.
You would have thought coldness is detrimental to tennis, unless they've got lots of indoor facilities.
Lots of indoor facilities, and now that every surface out there that we have is uniform and plays the same, I guess it's not going to be difficult for them to take their game to every country. It's not like you've now got to go switch from a relatively fast indoor court to a really slow clay court. The French Open, they've got balls that are like ballistic missiles, bouncing at 19 feet off the ground. And unless you've got a 100-foot run back, you can't get any shot back. So it's starting to, I think they're destroying the game. I mean, if you're listening, the ITF, you need to change these balls. It's dreadful. The game is falling apart. It really is. And the only time it gets exciting is in Paris, and your problem is all the top guys aren't there.
Yeah.
The only time you get a fast surface and you get some rallies, you get people hitting winners. You know, instead of these bullets that you keep producing. You know, they do have a range, don't they, in the ITF, where they say the ball has to bounce a certain height if you drop it, and it has to be a certain amount of.
Yeah, but it's, you know, I think the height of the bounce is one thing, but I think it's also to do with how fast they wear. You know, because you can start off with a ball and it's, you know, a new ball's fast, doesn't matter what ball it is, but certain balls will, you know, if Rafa and Federer are having 15 shot rallies, after 2 games some balls are going to be massive, and then you suddenly can't hit a winner, and some balls are going to maintain their speed through the air better than others, and I think that's what the French Open ball does.
Right.
So that's why it's quick. You know, it doesn't puff up. It sort of stays compressed. Therefore,
except for this year when it was raining and they were like balloons, and Rafa was moaning constantly about them. Rafa, man up. Hope you're back soon. But you've got to stop whinging about things like that. You won the match. I mean, what were you moaning about? But talking of the O2 Arena, we've got Nick Lester. We're just going to hop over to see what Nick has to say. He's at the O2 Arena, our man on the ground. Nick.
Well, welcome inside the O2 Arena. It all ends here after a good 10 months or so as far as the ATP Tour is concerned. The best 8 players on the planet are here for this week, and it's such a special week inside the O2 Arena. Tickets almost sold out. Below me you might just be able to see that Thomas Berdych practicing and Andy Murray just about to follow him. The draw, as I'm sure you've seen, pits Murray with Djokovic and also Thomas Berdych and Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in what is a rough looking group. As far as that's concerned, that kicks off tomorrow, and then Tuesday Federer, Tipsarevic, and then Del Potro against Ferrer. So a fantastic week in prospect here. Lots to look forward to. Of course, the year-end #1 ranking already tied up as far as Djokovic is concerned. He's got that in the bag. Murray never won this one before. Difficult start tomorrow against Berdych. In fact, the head-to-head reads favourably for the Czech player, 7-4 as far as that one's concerned. I think Del Potro's got a sniff as well. If you look with the bookies, he's something like 8-1, which I think is good value. Only been beaten twice indoors. I think he's got a really good shot. As far as the doubles goes, also got British interest. Johnny Murray, he's playing alongside his partner Freddie Nielsen, Wimbledon winners, of course. And the doubles draw will be announced a little later on.
Nick, thanks a lot for that. Comment about the doubles at the end was a bit passive. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Well, you know, to be fair to Nick, they haven't done the draw yet, so he can't make a huge comment on it. But
Asam and the other guy made it in the end, Roger.
Yeah.
I met them earlier this year at the Wimbledon Live event in London.
Yeah, a lot of respect for them because they lit it up this week. They knew what they had to do and they went out there and did it. They made the final.
Lost to Bopana and who's the other guy?
Bopana and Bupati, the Indian.
Yeah, he can play, can't he?
Yeah.
He's alright.
He's seriously good.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean, I personally think I got more touch than him, but that's a different matter. Yeah.
It's funny. It's actually kind of funny how stereotypical it can be, because you've got those 3 great Indians in the top, probably in the top 15 in doubles, and Asam, who's Pakistani, and they've all kind of got great hands.
I really thought you were about to commit political suicide there and call Asam Indian.
No. Put it under control. But it's strange. It's strange how the guys from that area of the world seem to have really good feel, really fast hands, and they're good. They're really, really good at doubles. They're great at doubles. So maybe it has something to do with them potentially growing up with cricket, because that's a very
squash is a very handy game.
Yeah,
and Pakistan dominated squash for 30 years or something. You had like the Khans, Jahangir, then Jamshed, like 20-30 years of just utter domination. Indians have always been very good at badminton as well. Another interesting thing, I remember when I was looking up touch tennis and thinking, has anyone else got this name before I try and trademark it or patent it? And the only articles I could find were touch tennis were about this Indian guy from the 50s. I can't remember his name. And his son then went on to take on the mantle of being the first exponent of touch tennis, and he was well known for having, and it wasn't Vijay Amitraz, it was someone long before him, having ridiculous hands, the ability to do things with a tennis ball that no one had ever seen before. It's a bit like Lodra in that maybe it's something cultural. Like if you don't do things with drama, they're not worth doing.
Yeah.
So maybe the Indians, if you look at Bollywood, they're big into drama, theatrics. Maybe that's why they learn to pull off crazy shots.
It is kind of like that. And you do get stereotypes within tennis, and you get the if you come up against a Swedish player, you know that they're probably going to have a very, very solid two-handed backhand.
Yeah.
Flat, return well, forehand a bit iffy.
Yeah.
And you come up against a French player, and you know that they're probably going to be slightly crazy, make some pretty rash decisions, but look beautiful while they're doing it, and just come up and make the most stupid shots ever, and just be unbelievably entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
But actually, going back, I feel like this has to be mentioned. Going back to your mention of Vijay Armitage, I think that guy's had the best tennis career ever, because he did actually appear in a Bond film. So that's when you know that I think things are going well for you in a sport, I reckon.
I think, what is the coolest thing in the world ever to have done if you're a sportsman?
Well, that's got to be.
It's got to be up there. You've been in a Bond film. The problem was he was a bit of a numpty in the Bond film. He wasn't really like a baddie, or he wasn't
he was
clever.
kind of, yeah, no, fair enough. I actually know.
What was he? Was he in Octopussy, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Octopussy,
I do not know.
with Roger Moore.
Okay, that's very good knowledge from you. But I actually know Vijay.
Do you?
Yeah, because he had a nephew who played.
Yes,
Prakash.
You introduced me to Vijay at Wimbledon last year.
Yes, and he's genuinely the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And so I played a bit with his nephew, and it was good fun. And I'm really, really, really grateful that I actually got to meet him, because he is a legend. But I think being in a Bond film, right up there, probably playing on top of that.
On the Verge Tower.
Yeah, on the Verge
I
Tower.
don't know. I look at that and I think that'd be a bit dull. I can't imagine that being the most fun thing to do. There's got to be better places to play. I mean, I'd love to go onto a bowls green, and while they're all standing there, just get a can of spray paint, and just go, just mark out a court and just start playing. Or like Agassi Sampras did in the NICAD when they just went in the middle of Times Square and just decided, guerrilla marketing. That sort of thing would be awesome.
Well, to be honest, it has actually been a little dream of mine. Is when I used to train up in Queens.
Yeah.
I used to walk past those beautiful manicured grass courts, and for 7 or 8 months of the year, nobody's allowed anywhere near them. They just look amazing.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like, you're not going to like this comment, but I just kind of feel like I would love to just take a little golf club there. Come and dip it out.
Just jump the
mud flying everywhere.
Yeah, why not? I think it'd be an awesome one. We got a few texts in actually. I'm just going to quickly go through some of these. So, I've got a message from Julian Squires. Can hardly hear you as my internet connection is terrible. It's because you're in Kent. You don't even have that technology yet, you muppet. But if kids can play on the surface, then the GOAT should be able to adapt. I seem to recall crushing your kids. Not one of them beat me. I beat every single one of them. Like 6-love, 6-love, 6-love. What is he on about?
Well, I think the first thing we have to address here is you might want to tone down your competitiveness. You are trying to promote a sport, and beating up on 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds is maybe not the best way of going about it.
They've got to learn. There's only one way to learn. Punish. I don't think anything wrong with that at all. I just think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced by your methods there.
Well, I think it was pretty fair of me. We are going to get somebody on the phone now, actually, that some of you may or may not know. She is a British tennis player by the name of Emily Webley Smith. We're going to just try and ring her now, because she sent in a message saying she'd like to be abused. That phone's switched off. She's got another number. Let's see how we get hold of that one, shall we?
Wow, 2 numbers.
Yeah, there's always something dodgy about people who've got 2 numbers. I never trust that. The fact that I've got my second phone in this colour tells you I'm a real man.
I don't really know what to say.
Right. Okay, we've got someone calling in. Oh, there we go. That must be. Let's see if we can put them on speaker. Emily. Hello? She's not very bright, we'll give her that. But she is a tennis player, so we don't expect much of her.
Oh, thanks, man.
The girls' version, I meant.
Ah, okay, yeah, women, yeah. So,
Hello.
Emily?
Yes.
Hi, it's Rashid and Chris Eaton. How you doing?
Hi, fine, thank you.
You're live on the Touch Tennis Show.
Yes, I gathered that.
Okay. If you want to turn the volume down on your iPad or whatever you're watching us on,
Yeah.
it'll stop the feedback from bouncing through our speakers.
Okay.
Studios around the world right now are just, closing down, trying to watch us, and you're messing up the sound.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about what we were talking about the doubles and some of those teams have gotten over here? Any preference of who's going to win the men's doubles? I was thinking that Johnny Murray.
I would love Johnny Murray to win the men's doubles. I think he had a pretty good week with Paul Henley in Paris. And although having beaten the Bryans, I think he's got one of the best records against the Bryans this year. But they're obviously the favourites going into the Masters, having won it the last however many times.
That's the second time this year that he's beaten the Bryans, isn't he?
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and with different partners as well.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that they're not liking Johnny Murray very much because they don't lose very many matches. But it'll be interesting to see how Johnny, in that arena as well, being like that calibre of player, and only that calibre of players, it's a little bit different to being at a Grand Slam when there's so many other players around. But I think having done well at Paris last week will also have helped him out a lot.
What do you think with the way the doubles is set up? I mean, Johnny Murray won Wimbledon this year, and that's the second Brit to have won a slam in doubles. And in fact, it was Jamie Murray before, now Johnny Murray. It just never felt like he got much credit for that, and I thought it was an amazing win.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think he got the credit that he deserved, but he's also the type of person who wouldn't be looking for that credit either. And I think sometimes, perhaps even in the weeks that followed it, Johnny just wanted to get back to work and get on with what he was doing. And that may have been the time when, in terms of media work and things like that, other people perhaps would have jumped on that opportunity. But he was straight over to the States to get stuck into some events over there, not even playing with Nielsen over there in the first few events. And I think from a mixture of things, from how well Andy did and the drama of the singles final, and I think then also with what Johnny is like as a person, I think a combination of those two things probably meant that was the case.
Now, Emily, do you remember where your ranking was earlier this year in about April when we went up to Dracop?
I may well remember.
Roughly, 300 in the world or something?
Yes.
And I told you to go to hell when you asked to play touch tennis doubles with me. For those of you who are out there who are viewers, I want you to think about that. I told her I didn't want to play with her. That's how great I am, and I made the final with a busted shoulder. Now,
Basically because I'm a girl.
oh, come on, I'd never say that.
Wow.
I mean, that's a shocking thing to say about me. Do you think next you're going to want women to get equal prize money?
No, I wouldn't want that.
So what do you think on the subject of equal prize money?
I think when the men play 5 sets and we play 3 sets, they should get paid more because the preparation it takes to play a 5-set match is far greater. However, when we play 3 and they play 3, I think we should get absolutely equal. Yeah.
So when women are getting hosed love and one, love and one, do you think Serena's doing the same amount of work as Federer's doing on his way through a Masters?
Perhaps not, but I think she's putting the same amount of preparation.
Federer doesn't paint his nails. I know he doesn't wear earrings, so tell me where the preparation is anywhere near the same as the preparation you're seeing with this Serena.
To be fair, I reckon Federer takes a bit of time over his hair.
You reckon?
Yeah. I reckon he might take a bit of time over his hair. And if you thought he was like when he first appeared on the scene, he's certainly more good looking now than he was when he first appeared.
Is that you giving us some information there, Emily, about the kind of guy you go for?
Yeah,
So basically you're saying you go for men that have got multiple slams?
Yeah.
Well,
Like that.
while you're on the phone, I it's far be it for me to say, but I have multiple slams to my name.
Yeah, do you know what somebody told me that the other day? I'm not sure who it was. Just some strange person walking down the street just came up to me and just went, "Have you heard to go?"
So listen.
I was in Sweden and they just came up to me and they just said that.
Yeah. It's starting to spread now. Jokes apart, I was at the tennis centre on Saturday, and someone said, "Is that the guy that runs Touch Tennis?" And I thought that was unbelievable. It was my wife, but that's not the point. But anyway, thank you for coming on the show. Just quickly before you go, what are your plans now for the next couple of months? Is it off season for you?
No off season. I've got too much time this year. I'm competing right up until the end of the year. And I've got 75k challenges in Japan and Dubai, and then a 50 challenger in Turkey before the end of the year.
Not that we would condone this sort of behaviour, but when you're on these travels, could you get me some cigarettes?
Would I ever forget to do that?
Yeah, I know. Pain of death and all that. But thank you so much for calling in, Emily. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll speak soon, no doubt.
No worries.
Cheers.
Bye.
What? No off season?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I guess when she says no off season, she would probably mean not in the standard, not when most tennis players would take their off season, which is obviously middle of November to basically the beginning of January. So you get a good 6-week training block, but things obviously, all tennis players have plans, and things change due to injury, and obviously she's been fairly unlucky this year and actually throughout her career with getting quite a few injuries, and you got to be smart enough to adapt to that.
Well, I mean, talk about smart enough to adapt to it. When she asked me to play doubles that time at Touch Tennis with her, I was injured, and I was smart enough to adapt and get a different partner.
Oh dear.
Sorry, Em, but what can I say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I tell you what, you touched on some interesting subjects. The equal prize money is a very interesting, sort of very debatable subject, and
I just don't think there is any debate. I mean, it's really simple. How much are the tickets to the men's final of Wimbledon? $5,000 a pair. How much for the women's? You can't give them away. No one wants them. I mean, if I had a choice of going to watch Serena duff up, I don't know, Safarova or something, or Fed against Rafa. I mean, you could argue, there is an argument that because there isn't the rivalries, I mean, if perhaps that's the biggest issue, because for me, if I was watching Graf against someone like Sanchez Vicario, I would go to watch that. I would go to watch Graf against Davenport. I would pay to watch that. But it's the state of the game today that I'm thinking.
It's become that. It's the one thing that worries me quite a bit about tennis is that you talk about a Graf against Sanchez Vicario, Graf against Sellers.
Yeah.
Steffi Graf was amazing for women's tennis, and so was sort of Mauresmo and Justine Henin-Ardenne, because they came with something different.
Yeah.
Right now in the women's game, pretty much. I mean, I know I'm probably going to get a bit of a stick for this, but pretty much everyone plays pretty similar tennis.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically all try to whack it hard, and the bigger, better athletes tend to win. That's why Serena tends to win. The tougher ladies like Sharapova, they tend to win. Azarenka, you watch Azarenka and Sharapova, and there are times when you don't know who's who.
Yeah.
Because they're doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what.
And the yell is the same as well.
Yeah.
You should be shot for that. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just there's no excuse for it. Yelling like that when you're playing. There's grunting.
Yeah.
As you hit the ball. Martin Hines just tweeted in as well saying shouldn't be equal. Agree with you there, Martin. But then there's yelling, and there's no need. There's absolutely. I mean, we joke when we're hitting a sponge ball and go, But you just. I mean, I hardly hear you make a sound when you're serving at 130 with a tennis ball. Why do they need to yell when they're tapping a ball around the court flat as a pancake?
I mean, in a tiny bit of defence to them, actually grunting does keep you sort of. If I was going to do a consistency drill, grunting actually helps you focus in.
Yeah.
I don't see the necessity to grunt as loud as you can.
Yeah.
But grunting certainly does help, and that's you do actually hear a lot of the male Spaniards grunt because they're so used to just grinding, and you can tell that it's always the same. It's like Gustavo Kuerten.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but
it's
Simon
kind of-
Kerr was a nice guy. He could have shrieked like Sharapova and I let him get away with it. Wouldn't have mattered. This guy was so decent. Gave
Yes.
almost every penny to charity. And you know,
Yeah, exactly.
you can't fault him. There's
No,
nothing
he's a
you can
legend.
say bad
He's a
about
legend.
that guy. You know?
But you know, I think it helped him with the rhythm of his shots.
Yeah.
I think it helped him just sort of focus in. So, you know, I agree. I agree. It's too loud,
yeah.
too much. But you know,
Could they just sever their larynx like they do with dogs? I mean, if it gets to a point where it's unwatchable, the only time, I mean, in fairness, I probably only ever watch them when there's no other tennis on, but if I did have to watch it, I would have the volume switched off completely. It's unbearable.
yeah. I mean, it could well become a big problem for the WTA, and then you know, again, you've got another issue with this prize money thing. And people don't necessarily want to watch the two best or two of the best players play because it's just unfortunate on the ears, basically.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the prize money issue is an interesting one because I feel like, you know, you have to look at if it's a tournament like Wimbledon where it's men and women, same place, same time.
Yeah.
Then you kind of, in my opinion, I think you kind of have to look at how much money the tournament's making and what the tournament's making its money on.
Yeah.
So, for example, I mean, I have no idea about figures, but let's say that Wimbledon sells TV coverage rights to the BBC for 50 million.
Yeah.
I know that it is 50-50.
Yeah.
It's 50% men, 50% women. So, therefore, certainly a large proportion of that prize money should be split down the middle because such a large revenue is coming from that from that TV. You cannot sort of separate ticket sales because face value, women's finals the same as men's finals in tickets if you buy it.
No, they're not.
Is that true?
It's more expensive for the Sunday.
It's more expensive
Yeah.
for the men's.
Men's
but
finals more
is that
expensive.
because you get a men's doubles as well?
You
It's
get women's
because you
doubles
get-
as well.
So there,
Saturday.
you see, that's where if it's actually genuinely more to
Yeah.
watch men than women, then
Yeah, and the sale of debenture tickets. I mean, I realise we're running a couple of minutes over here on our normal time, but the debenture tickets for men, if you try and buy a pair of debentures for Sunday, it's £5,000 on average, and if you try and buy them for the Saturday, it's 2 or 2.5. In fact, most of the time, it's less because the person who got to the final, they weren't expecting. You've got a Marion Bartley getting to the final, who's as lovely as she is. She's a psych job. I mean, she needs therapy. I mean, like that. But you know, so okay, she may be entertaining to watch, but you know, if I want the circus, I'll cut down the road to Cobham. You know, her playing against Venus, it wasn't really.
yeah,
You know.
you had Radvanska and Serena this year,
Yeah.
I think, and you just kind of, it was a 3-set match, but you kind of felt that if Serena had really focused for the whole match, it would have been
Straight sets.
2-2,
Yeah.
2-3. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, you're not going to pay that sort of money to watch that.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, if you've got Fed and Andy,
Yeah.
you're gonna pay it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the British factor plays a part.
Yeah.
Naturally, but
But look at the great finals that you've had in the men's over the last 10 years alone. I mean, you know, Philip versus Federer against Roddick. You've had matches between Rafa and Federer that have been out of this world. You know, it's
yeah, to be honest, the only sort of real disappointments were the first couple of Federer Roddicks
yeah,
when Federer was just all over him. But then Roddick came back with an unbelievable display and
Yeah.
lost 14-12, 16-14.
in the fifth.
And then you got actually Nadal Djokovic last year wasn't great.
It was dreadful.
Yeah, Djokovic just had his number for some reason.
There was nothing Rafa could do or wanted to do. He didn't look like he wanted to do anything.
It was a strange one, wasn't
Yeah,
it? It was
but
strange.
last couple of tweets, just going to quickly have a glance through to and see whether or not. Oh, here we go. Surprise, surprise. Found the longest grey hair the other day. Must be linked with the Touch Tennis show. Elliot Seabrook. And then he's going on to say, what do you guys think is the best height for a touch tennis player? You're looking at it, you idiot. What kind of stupid question is that? I've won 17 majors. Your height obviously isn't right because you keep getting duffed up. Maybe take the lifts out of his shoes? Or do you think it's the ponytail again?
Well, the hair does give him an extra couple of inches, so, you know, and he is probably about 2 inches taller than you. You know, you do the maths. But actually, I think ideal size for touch tennis is probably 8'3".
Yeah.
It's a small court, and if you're that big,
Yeah.
you're not going to get broken.
Karlovic.
Yeah.
I reckon you could just lean over the court like that. And
Yeah, you pretty much can.
And then last question we got from Jack Lusher from Maidstone in Kent. why did I get subbed off the court when I was playing touch tennis doubles against you guys on Friday?
Oh, Jack. That was the left-handed Jack with the... Yeah. Well, Jack, we played 3 points. You hit 2 shots and none of them troubled the court. So, obviously it wasn't up to us to substitute you. It was Julian doing that.
Yeah.
We would have substituted you straight away.
Your boss.
Yeah. So, we actually probably wouldn't have let you on the court because...
Let's face it, Raf was better, who's 7 years old.
Exactly, the 7-year-old.
Put more shots into play. And lastly, he's also then said, not mentioning your beating from me, Rashid. Now, let's go back a second. I'm ranked number 7 in the world. I've never lost a 4-love set in a tournament in my life. I've never lost to anyone left-handed, in fact, for that matter, apart from Marcus Willis. And this guy won, I think, 2 games against me, 2 games to love. And we stopped because I hit a kid with my racket as I was running. And
I told you to stop getting competitive with these kids.
Well, you got in my way. What do you want me to do?
No wonder
I didn't
no
kick
wonder
him
they were
off.
all crying when we left.
Perhaps I should have stopped kicking him when he was in the ambulance. But I thought, he got in my way. He deserved a clout around the head. But Jack, you got lucky. It was a couple of games. They both went to sudden death juice. You're left-handed. My kick serve goes out to your left hand, and you just spank away and hope to God the ball goes into court. Miraculously, you made a couple of returns. I wouldn't call it a beating. Anytime you want to man up, come down here to Surrey and play me on home soil, so to speak. I'm willing to put a pretty hefty wager on you losing to me. What do you reckon we should put up there?
You've got to remember that Jack is from Kent.
Yeah.
So
food, clothing,
stolen cars. No, I didn't mean that. No, I think
no point stealing a car. You'd never get around that one-way system in Maidstone, would you? You'd get caught. It was dreadful.
No, I think you could just put. It's one of those things. You may as well put some money on it.
Yeah.
And just get it back.
Yeah, I've got nothing to lose, have I? All right, so name your price. If you want to email that in or text it in, let us know. Name your price, and we'll put that down as the bet, and I'll humiliate you. Elliot, get a haircut. Been lovely having you watching us tonight, and if you're watching us on replay, good morning, good afternoon, whatever else that may be. Chris, thanks for being here again.
No problem. Great fun.
And we shall see you all soon.